What's going on, guys? It's your boy Cash, and we are back here in Shadowverse. They just had a beautiful little mini expansion. They do them a lot, actually. So when the game dries out a little bit, that's like when I want to leave the game alone. It just happens, you know. It definitely happens. You get a little tired of the game because the game, this type of game, when their meta is set, it's set. it's pretty set. Even right now in Legends of Runeterra, the meta is set in that game, but there's still ways to get around it. The most popular deck is countered easily by, you know, just adding a couple tech cards into your deck. Meanwhile, in Shadowverse, I don't get that same feeling. It just feels like if the best deck is the best deck and there's not much you can do to compete against it. So I like to go through this game when it is fresh in the beginning, where everyone's trying stuff out. There's not really a meta set, and then after that, you know, once they set a meta, it's pretty terrible to play. And I think that's why this game gets updated so often, because I feel like they know that. It's not like something that I'm pulling out the crack of my ass. I feel like they honestly do know that that's the case or the problem that's in the game. So first and foremost, for my people, let's check out the brand new cards that have just been added. So we're gonna sort this, and they only add golden legendaries in the new expansion, so we don't have to like go too far. I'm gonna go create a card so I can actually see them. Let's start off with the new neutrals. So the neutral myth cleaver is good here. Banish an enemy amulet for 6. Banish an enemy amulet. Awesome. At the end of your turn, banish a random enemy follower. My god. My god, that is ridiculous. Oh. Well, so you start off with banishing an amulet. So you can fanfare. It doesn't mean that you can't play this unless there's a target. They would specify that if that was true. But to be able to do that, and it banishes an enemy file at the end of my turn, so you can easily respond to something. Now, unfortunately, as we know, there are a couple decks where this is not going to make that big of a deal, but it still does. It's a pretty good card. You know, it's still a good card in general. Like, this doesn't really help with a Mocking of Blood. It doesn't help with Mocking of Blood. It's not going to help with Valdane because he's just playing a bunch of trees and then ending the turn. You know, you could, banishing the tree, the natural tree that is prevalent right now, is still pretty good because it slows down some of the decks. It slows down the Valdane deck, the destroy deck, but it won't slow down anything like the Rune Natura. Natura Rune is not going to really be affected by this, slightly, because they'll lose a free bouncing, like if they could bounce it back to the hand, but that's about it. It's not going to stop some of the bigger decks in the meta, but it will slow them down. It doesn't stop them, but like I said, that's what it would be. This is like a slight tech, but a 6 cost tech kind of sucks. Oh wait, there's only one card? Wait. Usually there's 2. This is an old card. This was in the expansion before. Yeah, that's strange. So only one. This is a gold, not even a legendary. That is very strange for them to do that. All right, now we're gonna look at Forestcraft. I don't have these cards, but I know that Intertwine Resolved and Damien are old. They're part of the expansion previously. So this is a new card from the mini expansion, Elf Queen of Abundant Life. So it is a 3 cost 2/3. It is Ward and Fanfare. Draw a card. Awesome. And then we see when you evolve it, as an evolve effect, deal 1 damage to a random enemy follower. Do this X time. X equals the number of cards in your hand. So that is extreme removal, because in most parts of the game, especially in Forest, your hand is usually pretty full. And this Fanfare, draw a card, which means that when you play her, your hand size doesn't lose anything because you draw that card anyway. Also to note that, you know, the max that can be this clear is 9, and it's random enemy followers, so stealth doesn't really work, which is not too prevalent right now in the meta, but maybe it is. Maybe there's another card that I haven't seen yet that's like, oh, we gotta kill these ambushers. But or it's really good sometimes for characters that cannot be targeted, like there are, like in Portal Machina, there is Belphemon. Belphemon is very annoying. Some of these cards kind of screwy, but this is a 9 clear, and like evolve 9 clear, which is kind of like play 3, evolve, clear for 9. Even on turn 4, like if you went second, that's still clearing pretty much a lot of things because your hand size is probably still pretty big, especially if you have the card in the hand. You're gonna, you know, prep up for a clear round, and on top of that, you only use 3, so you still have a lot of mana like left to deal with whatever else is on the board if you need to. And another thing is that you could still bounce this card right back into your hand, and if you have more evos, you can just do it again multiple times or things like that. So really good card. This is the legendary too. Yeah, really good card. But where would it fit in the meta? Because they already had a draw card. It was 2 costs and it draws cards. Actually, it was his Kokoro. she, you know, Fanfare 2, draw a card, and then it has the ability to draw more cards, and then it has the Union Burst thing attached to it, which is like later in the game or depending on how many times you evo. So it's a little bit like different. It has a little bit extra card draw in comparison to this, but I feel like this card, the ability to clear out some stuff is really good. Also, with that, you can use it and with the roaches as well to help you clear out roaches. But the whole thing about clearing out roaches, kind of like with Awakened Gaia. So maybe they're going for maybe slowly, maybe not in this expansion, but something that's not as messing around with how many cards you play. You know, maybe it's play this, evolve it, good to go, and then clear to the face or something like that. Yeah, maybe Machina might use it. The Machina, maybe they can use it for a quick evo and then just start doing a bunch of stuff because it's a very low cost investment, you know. All right, let's check out the other card, which is the Windfall Fang. Fanfare, recover 4 play points. Awesome. So it's pretty much a 1 cost. When you play this card, if it's the 5th card or later played this turn, draw a card. It ramps up the the play card, the card plays or whatever like that. You can only play it at 5, so it's pretty much limiting when you can start abusing it. So you could play it for 5. I'm dumb. Okay, I'm dumb. When you play a card, I was saying in the essence of if you were playing her, so I'm wrong, right? So you can actually keep this card out, right? When you play a card, if it's the 5th card or later played this turn, so you actually get multiple card draws from her just being on the field. That's how she works. So her effect is actually eternal. It stays there forever. So you can play her, boom, draw, boom, draw, boom, draw. The only thing I don't know is if that works like with the number of cards. I guess number of cards played, right? When you play a card, if it's the 5th card, yeah, number of cards played, because that's how its forest is written. See, like if at least 2 other cards were played, and there's ways to manipulate this, is what I'm trying to say. Like, yeah, if at least 4 cards were played, now you could play technically 2 cards, and there's ways to make it count as 4 cards. So hopefully, you know, this works the same way. So I'm pretty sure it does if it's the 5th card later. So yeah, there's a way to really draw a lot once she's on the field. She's only 2/2. Her stat line is pretty garbage. So she's gonna get killed by a lot of things. If she had at least, I think for 5, they should have made her, if they don't want to have her high attack, at least give her 3 or maybe 4 defense so she can survive a little bit of things out there. Especially she dies to like a lot of the basic removal that's in the game. Like a lot of stuff hits 3. I think Rune will have a trouble clearing it because Rune is like 1, I think 1 and then 3. So I guess that's a good thing. You force a spell. You spend 5 costs, very likely get her effect off once, and then you force the opponent to kill it, but something, because they can't let something like that just stay on the field. All right, sword. Sword is always scary because you can't give sword too much power. You can't give them too much power, right? So let's look at Lady of the Lance. Rush. Fanfare. If you have at least 2 commander cards in your hand, gain Bane and the following effect. The next time this follower takes damage, reduce that damage to 0. So that's pretty cool. Cool? It's pretty cool. Pretty much what it's saying is that if you have 2 commanders in hand, you can kill a card for free. Because that's what Rush is, and that's what Bane does. So you can enhance it for 8 mana, gain Storm and recovery 5. Pretty much then it goes back to if you would have played it for 3. So it's very flexible card. I like when cards are this flexible, but you know, it's just 3 damage to the face. It is an officer as well, so it kind of 2 commanders. Commanders, you don't run usually too many of them in a deck. Usually you run a few, but it is an officer, so it's really good for the current. Not the current, but there is an officer deck that I saw swirling around. So it would be nice and interesting that you'd have her not as a 3/2, but if you can actually evo this pompous jerk over here, which he bumps up the officers in the deck, and maybe she's not in the deck, or maybe she's in the deck and gets those boosts. You could theoretically do it 3 times, so she can come out as a 6/5. Rush Baning, and also if it's later in the game, she can actually be a 6/5 Storm with potentially Bane. You know, like that's, you know, very strong, very strong. And then the Lego is going to be Amelia, the Silver Flash, and it says Fanfare. It's 5 cost, 5/4/4. Randomly put 2 different officer followers from your deck into your hand. That's awesome. She's a commander, so some more commander support. Enhance 7, gain the ability to evolve for 0 points, and the following effect: the next time this follower takes damage, reduce that damage to 0. Also has an evolve effect. Oh, this thing is stacked. Until the end of the turn, subtract 3 from the cost of an officer follower in your hand. So the end of the turn. Interesting that they word that. So, I mean, to be fair, a lot of the officers that you run in like an evolve deck, or, you know, if you're running an evolve deck, and even if you're not, most of the officers that are pretty good are 3 costs, right? So even Cheese is 3 costs, so it's almost as if they put them in a pack. But if you type in officer, you type in officer, most of the officers are like 3 or lower, especially in the evolve deck. This officer is usually an evolved deck. That would be 3 or lower. Though, not saying that, you know, it has to go down to 0 cost, but you can make Shizuru a 1 cost, which is pretty good. You can play this guy for free, which is a pretty much immediate follow-up. That's 2 free evos. Well, actually, no, if you evolve her, you can't evolve him, but you can actually still play him afterwards. And if they don't deal with, you know, they'll probably have to deal with the other big mama that you just played, and then maybe you can get a free evo with him next turn. That's a possibility. I've seen people check like that. It's actually very difficult to make that decision whether or not you want to kill both of them if you can't actually kill both of them. This card I think is one of the best because later in the game, this card is a 5 cost officer, but if you can play both of them, and especially depending on how many evos you have, that's going to be ridiculous because you play her for 5. Where is she? Play her for 5, right? A little bit later in the game, reduce her by 3, she becomes a 2 cost. So on turn 7 you could do this, and if you have a decent amount of evos, you can get more play points back after you just did that. You can recover 5 defense and possibly draw more cards. So I think these two are going to be a match made in heaven, to be honest. So I'm looking forward to seeing some sword decks out there. All right, we're in Runecraft. So now Runecraft is one of the top 1 decks, top 0 tier 0 decks. So let's see what they got. They still got 2 cards. They gave them cards? How could they? So we have a legendary, and it's natural. Oh, come on. Why? More support for the deck. 2 cost 1/1, which sounds stupid. Each turn when you play an amulet, for the first time gain +1/+1, the second time draw a card, the third time deal 3 damage to all enemies. This is funny because we just seen TF in Legends of Runeterra. If you guys are familiar with that, they just had an expansion. I've been covering that game a little bit, and that's pretty much what he does. He has a effect that only per turn, if 3 instances of something happen, he does something for each time. So this card is pretty much, please kill me. Please kill this card. So the first time it says it gains +1/+1. Now it doesn't say that this goes away, so you have to keep that in mind. Now, so pretty much this card has a forever boosting itself, and then the second time you draw a card, which is awesome for the Runeterra deck, and the third time deal 3 damage to all enemies. Now, another really important thing to note, that even though this card is natural, it really works well in Earth, like in the dirt deck, because the reason I feel like it even works better there because of the fact that it's like when you play an amulet, like yes, Natura plays the amulets a lot, but I feel like they don't play them as much as a whatchamacallit, as Earthroom, because Earth is playing a shit ton of amulets, like back to back, like all the time. I think that like you have to think about how often you're gonna be able to put out 3 trees like per turn, like that's usually not a thing. You're not really gonna be able to put 3 trees out per turn, not all the time. Like literally, you put this card out and Earth Sigil has like, there's so many Earth Sigil that you can play for 1 or 2 costs. So it's, you can even hold it into your hand until you can at least make it a 2/2/2 and draw an extra card. Like that's ridiculous. I'm really excited to see that card actually. The Form Bender. I see spell boost, I think scared out of my ass. Fanfare, transform another follower or amulet into a clay golem. It says another follower, doesn't say ally or enemy, so it looks like you can use it on your own stuff or you can use it on other stuff, which is really good. If this card has been spell boosted at least 5 times and the selected card was an allied card, transform it into an Aldrick Chimera instead. So like I said, you can put it on ally or the enemy. So 5 times. Aldrick Chimera is a 6-point Runecraft follower, 5/5 ward, cannot be destroyed by spells or effects. Can be destroyed from, you know, spells and effects. Oh, sorry, can't be destroyed, but can be destroyed by damage. Sorry, you can damage it, but you cannot kill it straight outright. Pretty much is what it's saying. So if you rush a Bane, that Bane girl we were just talking about, and as an officer can't kill this card. So you would only just do that 3 damage, and that's about it. So it gives them a little bit more sustainability, which kind of scary. It's a 3 cost 2/3, and kind of scary to give that. I think it might slow down spell boost. Spell boost seems like it's already pretty good. But it could be a nice tech, like if they want to take something out. Like it says, it transforms an amulet or a follower. Pretty flexible card, and it's, you know, you don't have to run 3 of them. You can maybe run 2, maybe even 1, and just catch the opponent off guard by either giving yourself a ward or just taking out one of their amulets that is causing a problem, or one of their followers that's causing a problem. So I really do like this card. I think you might see a few of them in a deck, but it's not gonna take over. The whole form bending is the whole point of the deck. That's not gonna happen. Oh, Dragon! Dragon is some scary stuff, man. All right, so we got the Steel Cap, Palanta. Yeah. If any cards were discarded from your hand this turn, gain the ability to evolve for 0 points. That's awesome. 2 cost 2/2. and its evolve is deal 2 damage to the enemy, to an enemy follower, and then 2 damage to the enemy leader. As they already know that the deck is super stupid strong, so I'm happy they didn't give it too powerful of a card. I feel like they just kind of gave it some stuff that might get replaced as the time goes on. So this card is good, you can put it in now, but I feel like it will be better once other cards leave rotation, and then you'll have a little bit of like, oh yeah, that card that came out, we'll put that back in the deck. And last but not least, we get Jerva. Now Jerva, I think before was a really cool card. So now we have a little different version of it. Give the leader the following effect. At the end of your turn, if there are no allied cards in play, excluding this card, deal 5 damage to a random enemy follower. If there are no enemy followers in play, deal 5 damage to the leader instead. So interesting enough, this card doesn't mesh well with Natura, because usually there's a natural tree out there, because you have to have no allied cards in play, it says. Except this card. That's the only card that can be out there. This effect is not stackable and lasts for the rest of the match. Evolve, deal 2 damage to all other followers, so you can like clear your own board kind of thing. But it says allied cards. If it said allied followers, that would be fine. But I guess maybe later on we'll see where this deck fits in. But right now, Natura and Machina are the wave of Dragon. Those are the 2 decks that they run. Machina you don't see as often, but still, still, even then, why would you run this card? Machina, you're gonna have a crap ton of minions on the field, and it's at the end of your turn, so that's after you played a bunch of stuff. So, not a fan of that one. I mean, I'm happy because I hate Dragon, but so also there's a lot of buffs that they did. So I want to definitely play Machina. That will probably be the first deck that I'll try out. Is the new Machina Shadow that they pretty much made because they lowered the cost of one of the bigger cards, and they also changed a card that makes it work that you can actually use it. So pretty interesting stuff. So their first little card here is the Sarcophagus Wraith. Fanfare, summon a fabled treasure, which if I remember correctly, yes, fabled treasure. When an ally follows destroyed, destroys Amelia. Then you draw 2 cards, recover 2 defense, and gain 2 shadows. So this is pretty good. For 3 costs you play and you get a 5 cost amulet technically, so that's a lot of value. And as you can see, the effect of it's awesome. So when it dies, you're gonna get 2 cards out of it. So it's for 3, think of 3, draw 2, heal 2, gain 2 shadows. That's a lot. That is a lot. And you gain 1 shadow from when it dies too. So now in hand 6, it doesn't say instead, right? It doesn't actually say summon this instead. So you get the fabled treasure and you get the profane resurrection. When an ally follows that, you also get a lynch and a zombie, which is a lynch is a 4/4 and the zombie is a 2/2. And you evolve this guy, which does have an evolve effect. Doesn't really need one, but that's still nice. Really good card. And it's a lot of shadow generation, honestly. I think when your amulets die too, I think you get shadows for it too. You can correct me on that if you need to, but still, even if you don't, you still get 2 for this and a free Evo. Pretty good. I like it. Nightmare Devourer. Look at this little guy. Rush. 5 cost 3/3 rush. What are you running into? Necromancy 4. Summon another one. Repeat for the remaining shadows or until your area is full. So pretty much this is like a swarm. But I was about to say, it does have a good last words effect. It does. Last words, randomly activate one of the following. Heal yourself for 2 or gain 2 shadow. The first one you play is whatever, right? So first one is free, and then the next one is potentially to heal your face or to gain 2 shadows. But it's really weird because it's Necromancy 4. Now, I guess that compares, it matches up with this other card. Where are you? Gremmery, right? So when this card comes, blah, 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 give yourself the leader of this effect. Once of each turn, when you perform Necromancy, gain shadows and recover X amount of points. X equals the Necromancy cost. Now, this will be interesting to see if this card, now it says that you get the cost back. So do you only get the first 4 or do you get multiple 4s? Do you actually get to play this and then rush it into this and then rush it in and then just gain shadows back for free? Be interesting, because what this card would be entailing is like you want to run the annoying, I was like, how far back is Hades? If you want to run the Path of Purgatory deck, you know, and you can have that, have some ways to heal yourself while they're trying to, because they're going to try to kill you, right? So I do think that it's going to make this deck even more popular. Maybe even the mainstay way of playing Shadow is to play a card like this and play Gremmery and just kind of heal off the damage that you're taking, and there's not much they can do about it. So interesting to see how this card will come out. I'm definitely hyped for some Shadowverse. Hope you guys are too. So let's look up the Ravening Corruption. And this is if an allied amulet is in play, deal 2 damage to an enemy follower. If an amulet, so natural. Yeah, there it is. It's a natural card. Oh, it's also a natural card. Evolve, give your leader the following effect. During your turn, whenever cards are added to your hand from the deck, deal 1 damage to a random enemy. Do this X times. X equals the Number of cards added to your hand. This is a not stat. So this card is actually buff as fuck. During your turn, so every time you draw a card, well no, not every time you draw, whenever cards are added. So if a thing says draw 2, that's just 1 instance and it's gonna do 1 ping. But if you draw 1 ping, draw 1 ping, draw 1 ping, draw 1 ping. So that's actually pretty crazy. So if you draw 20 cards out of your deck after you evolve this, that's crazy. And it says during the cards whenever ads are added from your deck. So I think that means that in general, when you draw from the beginning of your turn, I think that will ping. This will be also very interesting to see if it works like that. And it's random enemy, so don't think it is as broken as it sounds, because the enemy could still ping a follower out there, but if you clear the field, which is, you actually have the ability to then it will always hit the face. So this card is very strong. Ruin Web Spider Disc. Crystallized 2, countdown 2, and it's another Natura. They really want you to play that slower deck, because Machina is so strong, it makes sense that they went to Natura, bring more attention to the less used deck. During your turn, whenever another allied amulet comes into play, subtract 1 from this amulet's countdown. So another allied amulet, the Natura tree. Last words, summon this big 5/10 spider, or you can actually play it at 10. But when it's on the field during your turn, when this follower comes into play, all enemy followers cannot attack until the end of the turn. It says all ally follow. I don't know if that means that the ones that are currently there, or can you not do it even if you play a follower after? Would have to see. Once on each of the opponent's turn, when the opponent plays a follower, it can't attack until the okay. So it screws over the ones that are out there, and then anyone that comes in next. So I was correct in my assumptions, but it doubles back to make sure that you can't attack in your first turn. Really, I mean, you usually can't, so I guess it just stops rush, it stops storm. So in order to kill this guy, you're gonna need a direct spell, and that has to be something that has higher than 10 damage. So very, very cool. I love what Natural Blood is turning into. It's looking like it's gonna turn into a legitimate thing, because Nerea is really what, in my opinion, like backseat drives the deck. It's such a strong card. But now if you could find a deck where Nerea kind of strives without that, I think would be really crazy. Almost done, guys. I know this is going to be a long video, but we're going through all the cards that they just released. Sweet Wing Seraph. Select an allied amulet and put a copy of it into your hand. Awesome. So allied amulet has to be on the field. If it's a natural tree, turn it to 0, helping you with the spell boosting thing, but also a spell boosting, helping you with natural tree draw generation. But it could be used on another amulet that's really good that you have out there. Subtract 1 from the cost of an amulet in your hand, which is any of them, doesn't have to be a tree. So I really like this card. Definitely you just chuck it right into that deck. Why the heck not? But again, the Machina version of this deck is stronger. Even though this one says Natura, but the Machina is super strong right now in Haven. So let's see if they get more support by Garuda, Winds of the Paradise. Randomly put one of the highest cost amulets and followers that cost X amount of play points from your deck into play and activate their fanfare effects. Holy shit. That is strong. X equals the number of allied amulets destroyed this match. So this is the deck. This is a card that supports the deck that I like to play, which was the amulet deck. It just didn't. It was just kind of wishy-washy, but it's still pretty much a Natura deck, to be honest with you. It is a Natura deck. It just with more of the amulet destroying stuff. And then you could play this on turn 5, and then you could play the highest cost amulet. That, you know, I don't know what, like, so you think in turn 5, how many amulets could you have destroyed by then, right? So, but still. That's still, you're always gonna get a decent amulet out, because the amulets usually, they're definitely, what are you gonna definitely have destroyed by like 3 or 4 by then, you know? But what of the highest cost thing, and you can't summon him, right? So even still, like for 5, let's say if you had some, like look at this is turn 6. Just theorycraft with me really quick. That's nuts. Like you can get something like this out and still get its fan, as long as it doesn't say choose. That's strong, man. That is super strong. Holy crap, this is a strong card. As you can see the vials, I'm not really happy about this, but we have Portal coming up into the Rise of the Heavens. Now let's see if they add more new artifacts, making the artifact ping very, very strong, or are they gonna give more Machina support, which is the lesser of the two. Machina Natura, that's really good. That means the flex thing really helps Natura on Machinas. Fanfare, put a Machina or Natura follower from your hand into play. Give it rush, and the following effect at the end of your turn. Return this follower to the hand. So you play this for 5, it's a 5/1/5. I think it's kind of like a card. It seems like it has a decent effect, but you won't really mind if you use it for natural Machinas either. So you can put a Machina or natural follower from the hand into play. It doesn't specify a level though. So that's actually kind of busted. You put you put it into play, give it rush, and the following effect at the end of the turn, it goes back into the hand. Fanfares don't activate like when you put them into play, like so you won't get a fanfare effect, right? But but you have to still keep in mind cards like this, Rebel of Against Fate, right? So you can actually have Tisiphone, Malignant, or any of these crazy broken ass cards just sitting in your hand and actually use the turtle to play it. So that's actually pretty strong. And I mean, there are a couple cards that kind of mesh well with it, like if you can come out with Amelia, and there's more cards that I could probably look into, but it's gonna be hard for me to find a card in Portal that doesn't have a fanfare effect, but you guys get the gist of it. It's actually really strong. He's fanfare. I was thinking maybe you can play the gorilla. This is another card I'd be interested to see. Can he play this for free and then get a copy of the hermit crab before it goes back to the hand? I don't know the spell speed of that. That'd be interesting to see as well. Anywho, this is the actual Lego. The Lego is also Machina Natura. The Bearminator. Okay. Rush. Whenever an allied Machina Natura card, whenever an allied Machina Natura follower attacks, recover 1 play point. What? 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 What are you doing? Oh no, that is some dangerous stuff you're playing with right there. And it's Machina or Natura. So let's say if you have a board developed and you put him out, I mean he can also be summoned by the tortoise, right? Oh my. Oh my, there's a lot of nonsense you can do with that. At the end of your turn, if you have at least 1 play point, deal 5 damage to a random enemy follower. Then if you have at least 3, deal 3 damage to all enemies. So it's back to the float deck a little bit, that essence, but the fact is that the float deck, I mean this card does support the float deck very strongly, right? Because you get play points back when you play other cards. The issue though is that this card is so good in just the Machina deck, the pure Machina one, because you can reduce the cost of this card, you can reduce the cost of other Machinas in your hand, and oh my god, this card is disgusting. So what deck are you guys most excited for so far? I do some summons because that's another thing that I wanted to mention in this video, regardless of how long it is that they now have 2 separate banners. Now what this banner is, I feel like they should have did better artwork to kind of let you know this. It says new cards, so this is the regular thing, right? And then this is the same deck, but I have a higher chance of getting the newer cards that we just reviewed, right? So that's one thing. So let's just go in here. So now I can use my old packs, my old packs that I've been generating, and try to get the newer cards. So as you can see, if I was trying to get old stuff, it wouldn't be that bad. I mean, it would be slightly worse because it's like, oh, I still want some of the old cards. Oh, I have auto reveal on. That's not that bad. You just don't see the card flip over. It does not mean that I won't get old stuff in here. I'm just supposedly gonna have a higher chance. I don't actually know what the rates are as far as getting a new card. So we got the Form Bender. There he is right there. So far we've gotten 1. I mean, this is the problem with, honestly, don't be fooled by this, but this is the problem with the mini expansion, is that you pretty much have to go back into the same card pool or whatever just to get, okay, we got the Myth Cleaver, nice. You go back into the same banner that you've already been in and experienced, and just to get and this is a paid pack, so that's why I'm not going to it. Let's not do auto reveal. I want the full glory. That's probably why we didn't get anything good. I had auto reveal on. You gotta get the full Shadowverse effect. Yeah, see, look at that, instantaneous. You flip them over, you get that noise. So we got this little weird thing, pretty good. I'm not gonna get too many cards here, which kind of sucks. Hey, that's Vials. I already have her. I gotta liquefy a lot of stuff, seeing if I can even make, you know, and that's another thing. I definitely think Legends of Runeterra's system is a little bit better. I feel like I obtain more cards just by playing by week. It's not looking good, because in reality, the issue here is that in reality you want multiple copies, right? You want to be able to play and get like 3 copies of a card because you might want to run 3 of it. So the odds of me even getting 1 is still pretty relatively low. Ooh, it said because it's not that low, you fool. Nightmare Devourer in the building. Again, did I mention it was natural? I feel like I didn't mention that at all. But yeah. So, see, look, I want to run 3 of that. So in hindsight, I would want 3 copies of that thing. And in order for me to run 3 of it, and that's a Lego, right? So legendary and Runeterra, that's like a champion almost. So out of 20 packs, we got 1 Lego, which in not being greedy, that's actually pretty good. Liquefy extras just to do that. So we got 5,000 off just extras. And that's extras that I've been saving up, right? That's not like extras from what I do think that they maybe need to ramp up the ability to get more cards, because I don't want to play with a half-ass deck. I want to play with the best deck that I want to play with what I see, Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I had a lot of fun going over the new cards. If you guys want to see a specific deck, I can try to, gear myself towards it in some way, shape, or form. Might not be the best one, but one thing that I'll give you guys is probably the new Machina deck. Because Amelia, she's a 6 cost, she went down to 4 cost. They lowered her stats, right? Yeah, they lowered her stats, but they made her cheaper, which her effect is amazing. Cheaper. It's ridiculously cheaper. Also, they changed the Colossal Skull Lord that now he doesn't, it's like, not that he does only hit AoE if they're Machina, they're safe, which screwed it against other Machina decks. They changed this effect, so now it actually deals damage to other followers. So you can actually just hit the enemy followers or all other followers, but at least it's not screwed that it doesn't skip Machina followers, which pretty much took a legendary card and made it absolutely useless. So now Machina Shadow seems a lot stronger. Even the one that I made seems a lot stronger if I even add this card or just play that other one, so we'll see. Oh yeah, I can get rid of this now. Sweet. I don't care about holographics. If I have 3 of the other thing, I actually usually get rid of it for vials, because you need cards. You need cards. I don't care if they look cute. I need cards. But that's gonna be it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and just remember that every day at the casino is your lucky day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.